Do you have low porosity curly hair? This hair type comes with its own unique challenges, including moisture absorption, retention, buildup, and more. This video is going to be a comprehensive guide for low porosity hair, including a step-by-step wash day routine using the Texture ID Low Porosity collection from Sally Beauty, who is kindly partnering with me for this video. My name is Gina and welcome back to my channel. Here we talk all things naturally curly. I love doing simplified step-by-step tutorials and talking about the science of hair and helping you problem solve with your curls, which is what we're gonna do here today with low porosity curls. So let's get started. Let's first start with the basics on what is low porosity hair. So this is a type of hair porosity where the outermost cuticle layer of the hair is still intact and it is protecting the inner layers of the hair from absorbing and also releasing water into the environment. And an easy way to think of it is low porosity hair does not exchange water with the environment quickly. And this is not necessarily a problem or a bad hair type to have. This means that your cuticle layer is doing its job. Our hair is naturally hydrophobic. Healthy hair is hydrophobic, which means it repels water. We also have natural sebum, which is that oil that our scalp produces, which helps protect the hair and makes it even more hydrophobic. However, curly hair, textured hair in particular, usually is much drier because those natural oils from the scalp can't easily make their way down the hair strand. So our hair texture tends to be much drier and not quite as oily as somebody with straight hair. This combination of low porosity and curly textured or wavy textured hair can cause an undesirable feeling in the hair, which leads to brittle hair when the hair is not properly conditioned. And this brittle, dry feeling of low porosity hair can be even worse if you have coarse textured hair or thick individual strands of hair. So that's when your individual strands are very thick and wiry feeling. They're very apparent if you pick up a strand of hair. That's how you can tell if it's coarse, if it feels kind of thick and wiry. So if you have coarse, low porosity hair, you definitely experience this brittle, dry feeling in your hair. And if you didn't know, most of us have low porosity hair as our hair grows out of our scalp. So you can have low porosity hair that gradually increases in porosity as you go down the hair strand, because that low porosity hair is healthy hair that's growing out of your scalp. Now, I'm sure there's still instances where people have higher porosity hair coming out of their scalp, like from nutrient deficiencies and other things that we won't get into here. But in general, the hair coming out of our scalp, if it's healthy, it should be a lower porosity. Plus, most of us do things to our hair that are naturally going to raise the porosity, such as brushing and detangling, even the sun. All of that can cause some normal damage to the hair, which increases the porosity a bit. And some people's hair is more susceptible to damage. So just from basic things like brushing in the sun, one person might have a higher porosity from that compared to someone with low porosity hair that still does those things. So even if you do those things, you can still have low porosity hair because maybe your hair is very resilient and strong. Even if you're someone watching who has damaged hair, but you struggle with dry, brittle hair, then this is definitely still going to be helpful for you and you can still follow this routine. And in fact, I actually have high porosity and medium porosity hair. So I don't even have full low porosity hair, but I still wanted to do this video for you because I know a lot of you don't have the exact same hair type as me. So my hair is higher porosity on the top, and then the lower section is more of a medium porosity. The top section definitely gets more wear and tear in my hair, so it's definitely more on the high porosity side. So let's see how these products work for me. Before we dive into the wash day routine, let's first talk about how to test your porosity because some of you might be confused on your hair's porosity. So I would not recommend doing the float test where you put some hair in a cup of water. You'll see that a lot online. That can be really inaccurate. There's a lot of things that can affect whether if your hair is going to float or sink, including buildup on your hair, just the weight of your hair. Like if it's coarser, it's going to be heavier, your type of water. So that's not a very accurate test. So I usually recommend paying more attention to the signs and testing things and seeing how your hair responds. You can also do a test where you mist your hair with water, but you would have to make sure that your hair is completely free of products. So you would pretty much have to use a clarifying shampoo and then skip conditioner and just let your hair dry and then mist it with some water and see how well the water absorbs. If it beads up, then it could be low porosity. But then you also have to consider, like, do you still have some buildup on your hair that's preventing it from soaking in? And plus there's still that surface tension there. So it's really not going to absorb unless you kind of press it into the hair. So it's really hard to test. Another thing you can do is shampoo your hair and then let it dry and towel dry it. So you can kind of scrunch out the excess water with a towel, and then watch how quickly your hair dries. If your hair is still wet after several hours of even towel drying it, then it might be low porosity. Whereas if it dries pretty quickly, like mine does, then it could be high porosity. But there's no true way to test it at home. You just have to kind of test different products and stuff and just see which techniques that your hair responds well to. So what are some of the signs that you have low porosity hair? So how can you tell? Well, for one, like we mentioned, your hair might take a while for it to actually saturate when it does become wet. So pay attention to your hair when you first step into the shower, and once you start to put water on your hair, see how quickly your hair becomes wet. If it takes a long time for your hair to get wet, then it could be low porosity, and if you watch the water kind of beat up and repel, then that could be a sign of low porosity hair. However, keep in mind that if your hair is very thick, it's probably going to take a while for it to saturate because it's so thick, or if you have product residue and oils and maybe even build up on your hair, it's not going to soak in as quickly. But my hair definitely saturates pretty fast. I don't have to spend much time at all getting my hair wet to take a shower. Another sign or symptom of low porosity hair is once you do get it wet, does it then take a while to dry it, like I mentioned? So say if you are styling soaking wet and you're using a lot of really moisturizing products and maybe you just air dry, does it take forever to dry? Or maybe you go right to diffusing and you feel like it takes forever. So if you didn't remove that water from your hair by scrunching it with a towel, then it's probably taking a while to dry. A few things to keep in mind though, with this, thicker hair is going to take longer for it to dry, and also using very moisturizing products and really clumping your hair a lot with a lot of water is going to make it take a while to dry. Another sign is if your hair is virgin, so it's not color treated, it's not bleached or highlighted or chemically processed, then it could be low porosity. If you're someone who does not use any heat on your hair and it's super healthy, if your hair is not super sensitive to the humidity, then it could be low porosity. If your hair often feels very silky and looks very shiny, and you also have fine or medium textured hair that is properly conditioned, those things are key. So people who have fine hair that are getting enough moisture and properly conditioning their hair is going to look and feel very silky if it's low porosity. And on the flip side, your hair might feel very brittle and dry if it's also coarse textured or it's not properly conditioned. So even if you have fine textured, low porosity hair and you're not properly moisturizing it, it could still feel brittle and also appear very dry. So before we jump into the routine, let's cover what the goals are of low porosity hair, because that's going to inform the products that we choose and the techniques that we use during the routine. So the first thing is going to be to improve the manageability and the flexibility and the softness of low porosity hair so that way it doesn't tangle. This can be achieved through using products with slip in them. So slip can come from silicones, polymers, fatty alcohols, and oils in your products. And you're also going to want to prevent low porosity hair from becoming weighed down and flat. So you'll want to look for products that are lightweight and don't have too much of these conditioning ingredients, or you're not using too much of those conditioning products like we just talked about. Another thing that you'll want is long-lasting moisture and hydration. That's going to be through using humectants and film-forming humectants. And you also want to maintain its strength and also prevent buildup. This can be tough to do because low porosity hair still needs to remain strong, so you'll want to use amino acids and peptides to strengthen the hair and prevent breakage without using heavy, strong proteins that could build up on the hair and make it feel even more brittle. So for the routine, I'm going to be using the Texture ID Low Porosity Collection. This line is designed for low porosity hair, so it is chock full with those ingredients that we talked about. And this line is affordable and it's available exclusively at Sally Beauty. I'm going to have links for everything in the description box down below. If your hair is very dry, brittle, and tangly, use a conditioner or a hair mask first to detangle your hair. It is game changing and helps so much. So the Texture ID conditioner contains aloe vera to moisturize and amidimethicone for lots of slip for detangling. Now I know many of you are still resistant to silicones, but you're less likely to get buildup if your shampoos are compatible and effective at removing those silicones, which the shampoo I'm going to show you next is able to remove silicones, so you don't have to worry about buildup. Just avoid using co-washes when using products with silicones. But silicones will help improve the feeling and the elasticity of your brittle hair, which is why they're often found in conditioners and stylers, which is especially great for coarse textured low porosity hair. After I remove all of the tangles, I do just a light rinse and I'm ready to move on to shampoo. So you want to use a shampoo that has a good lather and will be effective at cleansing away buildup without being drying on the hair with harsh sulfates. So the Texture ID shampoo contains one of my favorite ingredients, sodium C14-16 olefin sulfonate and disodium lauryl sulfosinate. I probably did not say that one right. I'll have them listed on the screen, but these are very effective at removing buildup and silicone without drying out the hair. So this is really good for low porosity hair that tends to get buildup very easily. And you might even have to shampoo more than once if needed. I really take my time with shampooing and make sure that I cover all areas of the scalp. If you have very oily hair, then you want to make sure that you're removing all of that and getting a very clean slate. So you might want to go in with a second round of shampoo before rinsing your hair. If your hair is very dry, use a deep conditioning mask with humectants, lightweight conditioners, and not too many oils high on the list. Look for amino acids and peptides too if you're looking to strengthen your hair. So the Texture ID mask contains vitamin E, C, and B to nourish, aloe to moisturize, niacinamide to protect, and amidimethicone to condition, provide slip and softness, which is especially great if you have damaged ends. You can still have low porosity hair, but have higher porosity ends that have some damage. You might not need to deep condition often though if you have fine low porosity hair. So I apply that mask all over, and then another little trick for ensuring that that deep conditioner soaks into the hair, or any conditioner that you're using, is to apply some water and spend some time kind of scrunching and massaging that conditioner into the hair. This is going to help increase the absorption, which low porosity hair definitely needs. I was actually shocked at these curl clumps that I got just from the mask. I'm gonna go ahead and put my hair up in a plastic cap because we're going to be adding heat. So you can try adding a heated cap, like a microwavable heat cap, or even use a hair steamer, or just put a plastic cap on to trap the heat of your head, which will increase that penetration of the mask even more into your low porosity hair. After that sets for about 10 to 15 minutes, you want to rinse your hair out thoroughly. Do not leave it on too long, as this will lead to over moisturized hair. Do not sleep in your deep conditioner. It's really bad for your scalp. And you also don't want to leave the conditioner on too long. It's only going to work for so long. So I make sure I fully rinse it out so that way I don't leave behind any residue that could weigh down my hair. And look how moisturized my curls were. Then I'm just wrapping my hair up in my cotton hair towel and we're ready to move on to styling. Moving on to how to style low porosity hair. You want to start with soaking wet hair. Applying products to wet hair can increase the absorption for low porosity hair. You may even want to style over your tub or shower so you have lots of water. Now I usually style more on the damp side because if I use too much water, my low density hair gets very weighed down. Use a small amount of leave-in conditioner or curl cream if your hair is dry and lacking moisture. So leave-ins tend to be a little bit more lightweight and creams have more styling agents in them. So the Texture ID leave-in conditioner is light and has a lot of slip for detangling and softening. And the Texture ID Twist and Define cream is a bit thicker and has styling agents such as starch and polyquaternium, and these can help with curl enhancing and help to fight humidity. You might want to skip both leave-in and cream though and go straight to gel if your hair struggles to get a cast and doesn't get a lot of hold easily and maybe it gets overly soft. And I only used a small amount of the curl cream. You don't want to use too much because that will soften up your gel cast, and my hair is low density and I'm trying to maintain a lot of volume. So I only went in with a small amount, mainly to provide that moisture, and I focused it on the dry areas and then brushed it through to ensure it was all smoothed out and evenly distributed. Before I apply my gel, I like to section off my hair because this is really going to increase the coverage of the gel, and I'm misting more water. Make sure you have your spray bottle on hand because you will need to add more as you go. So then I'm applying a gel for definition to provide hold and longevity. The Texture ID Low Porosity Curl Defining Gel contains aloe, a film-forming humectant to help with moisture retention and flexibility, and I don't get flash drying from this because it has lots of moisturizers in it too. I know a lot of you tend to complain about that with aloe-based gels, but this one did not give me flash drying. It's very moisturizing. It contains 2 polyquaterniums and a silicone to condition, fight humidity, and even protect the hair from heat, so you don't even have to use a heat protectant with these products. It's about a medium hold. I get a cast, but it does release fully, and I'll show you my day 3 results too towards the end of the video. So because this is very moisturizing, it can be used on its own as a one and done styler, and it's protein free, so it's not going to make your low porosity hair feel even more brittle. It's actually very softening. So I'm also doing some brush styling to my hair, which is my preferred styling method. You can do whichever method that you prefer, but this just helps to define my curls, smooth frizz, and make sure that my curls are gonna last a long time because styling will help increase the longevity. I also do a bit of finger coiling, which is really easy to do with this gel because it has so much slip to it, and this just helps to define any of those stubborn curls that don't want to curl in the right direction. After I'm done styling, I'm going to scrunch my hair with a hair towel to help soak up the excess water, and this is key to speed up your dry time. If your low porosity hair takes forever to dry, you've got to add in this step in your routine. You can grab a t-shirt, any hair towel, and just scrunch your hair. And then if you do get some frizz, just add a little bit more gel. And this layering technique actually gives me a lot of hold, which is really helpful when I'm using softer hold products like this gel. I also notice that I get more of a cast on the areas where I do add an extra gel on top of hair that is starting to dry. So that micro-plopping technique, it's really gonna help speed up your dry time. If your hair falls throughout the day, avoid air drying and diffuse instead. Then you want to scrunch out the cast once your hair is dried if you prefer a softer look. Now I didn't have a ton of cast, so I mainly just fluffed out the roots for more volume, but look at these curl clumps that I have. Some of them were even 2 clumps, so I did unravel a few. And if you get any little bit of frizz, you can always go in and add more gel. I like to do this with lighter hold products. I'll add a little bit onto dry hair just to touch up, and it really does help to tame some of that stubborn frizz, and then I'm good to go. It is now day 3 after using the low porosity line, and I was outside in extreme humidity yesterday. So my higher porosity sections are definitely frizzy, but that's very normal and common when I use light to medium hold products. But this section is more of a medium porosity, and as you can see, it looks much better and less frizzy. So you can definitely tell the difference between my hair porosities on my hair after I've been in humidity. But overall, the curl clumps still look pretty good. It's still very moisturized. It's very soft, but I would need to do a refresh if I did want to touch up some of this frizz. It also is a little bit stretched out just from where I had it up in a ponytail doing my workout, and I got a little sweaty. So a few of the pieces are stretched out, but this would be very easy to refresh. Unfortunately, the gel can be reactivated with water and you get a lot of slip back, so you don't even really have to add any product. You can refresh with just water. So let's talk about my final results and my thoughts on this line and if I recommend it for which hair types. My hair is more high porosity and they still worked pretty well for my hair. I think because I also have quite a bit of coarse hairs on my head, and also high porosity hair is similar to low porosity hair in that it needs a lot of moisture and it really needs that moisture to get locked into the hair. And so I definitely found that these did that for my hair. They were very moisturizing, had a lot of slip to them, and really helped keep my hair moisturized and protected. So my hair didn't feel brittle or anything like that. It still feels very soft. I noticed that I had a lot of curl clumping and a lot of curl shrinkage. So my curls really bounced up because they're so moisturizing. I had a little bit of a gel cast. I would consider it like maybe a light crunch. And then I didn't really have to like scrunch out a cast all over my hair, but it still has quite a good bit of hold, but it's definitely softer. So I would consider the gel to be like a medium hold gel because I do get a cast and the hold remains for the most part, but it can like really soften by the end of the day. I like the amount of polymers that are in the gel that really help to prevent that frizz. When it comes to super high humidity though, I did get some frizz after a while of being outside in humidity, and I think that's because my hair is more high porosity. As I mentioned, that higher porosity hair really does exchange water easily in the air, and even with all of like the silicones and the polymers and the anti-humidity ingredients in these products, my hair still did get frizzy. So that's just because it is on the higher porosity side and there's not much you can do at that point. However, if your hair is low porosity like these products are designed for, you're probably not going to get as much frizz as I did in humidity. Now, I did want to mention if you have finer texture hair that gets overly soft easily, so maybe you have very silky hair that gets over conditioned and overly soft very easily, I would start with just a couple of products from this line and then incorporate also some texturizing products. So the Texture ID line, they do have a mousse. I haven't got to try it yet, but it does look like something that would be great to add some more texture and grit to your hair when combining it with these other products. So just keep that in mind. But if you're somebody who has super brittle hair and that's also coarse, these are definitely gonna be great for you. So those of you with low porosity, coarse textured hair, this is definitely a great line for you. I'll link you to all of these products in the description box down below if you want to check them out at Sally Beauty, and I will also be adding these to the shop page on my blog, So if you want to read more about the ingredients and stuff, you can find them there along with all of my product recommendations. If you need more help with your curls falling flat and not lasting through the end of the day, check out the video that I will link for you right here on the screen. It's all about why your curls are not lasting and how to make them last longer. So if you're struggling with that with low porosity curls, then check that out and I will talk to you over there. Bye everyone.